everyone, and welcome back to another Ableton tutorial. Lovely to have you here. Big shout out to the YouTube gang. A massive thank you to the awesome folks supporting on Patreon. These people whose names you see scrolling before your eyeballs right now. The support on Patreon really helps me keep making content like this. So a huge thank you to everyone supporting there. Patreon members, of course, will be able to download this full project at the end of today and all of the samples connected with it. Right, so what are we looking at today? Well, I got a question over on Patreon, and the question was about how to make kind of tribally percussive inspired IDM. So I thought, let's take a look at that. I got super into it and I made this whole track that you hear happening in the background, which is also available for download on the Patreon, a bit of an exclusive there. So I thought, let's try making this. This tracker that you're listening to is at 118 BPM. We're going to try the same techniques, but we're at 134 BPM. It's Saturday night. Let's get a little crazy up in here. So I'm going to press stop on that. I've prepared two things here. One is a sample of a krin. A krin is an African percussion instrument, and it's just some samples of me hitting it. It sounds like that. And the other sample I have prepared is these congas. This is from a session I did. I can't remember when. I can't remember who's even playing these congas. It was just whilst we were warming up and testing the microphones. Always handy to have lots of this sort of stuff lying around in sample folders. Again, these two samples will be available as part of this project for Patreon members. Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to contrast some hyper-programmed digital glitchy stuff in the drums against some of this sort of much more acoustic organic percussion sounds. And we're also going to try and contrast really fixed elements with some kind of elements that evolve and change and feel, well, they have patterns, but they're a little bit unpredictable. So what I'm going to be doing today is kind of combining a bunch of techniques from some of my previous tutorials. That's also a question that I get a bit on comments in YouTube and on Patreon. How do I turn this idea into sort of more of a full track? How do I combine some of these ideas? So we're going to be looking at that a bit today. So I'm going to start by making a drum beat. I'm going to begin with instruments drum rack. I'm going to bring in a drum rack into here, and I'm going to load in some samples. The first sample I'm going to load in is this kick drum that I seem to use a lot, called the answer phone kick drum. It sounds a bit like that. Oh, let's put that actually here, please, on C1. I'm going to turn snap off. I'm going to turn gate off, so we have a little bit more of a fade out. Lovely. Now I'm going to load in a couple of other instruments from Ableton here. I'm going to use the DS hi-hat that can come in here. And we can adjust the decay. Let's leave it like that for now. Super nice. I'm going to bring in a bunch of glitchy sounds in here. These can be any kind of glitchy sounds. I'm looking for a range of different kind of glitchy sounds. So, yes, I've got a bunch here. This is a nice one. Oh, that's also actually quite nice. It's got a different kind of sound to it. Probably fast forward through this. It's not so interesting to hear me watch me going through samples. Okay, so I've got a bunch of samples loaded in. This kind of thing. As you can see, a range of different kind of sounds. We're going to turn snap off on all of them. And we're going to turn them all to gate as opposed to trigger mode. And I'm going to bring in one more thing here. On C1, I'm going to just make a little kind of FM bassy kind of a thing. So I'm going to go to instruments, going to bring in an operator in there. There we go. Cool. Let's turn that to fixed instead of an actual note. Let's make it nice and short and percussive. Cool, let's add a bit of FM to that. Nice, turn this filter down a little bit. Maybe somewhere around there. Oh, wow, that's way too low. Something like this. Yep, cool. I'm going to give it a bit more gain on here. And let's give that just a little bit of reverb to give it a bit of space. Audio effects, reverb, where have you gone? Reverb. And let's bring that down to quite dry. Okay, how does that sound? Yeah, cool. On all of these super tight percussive sounds, I'm actually going to go in and random pan them all. It's also super tight. You can be random panned. Did that change that? No, I was on the wrong one. Cool. Right. Now let's come in here and just program a beat with all of this stuff. So I'm just doing this to taste. You could program in whatever beat you want. I think I said about 134 BPM if you're wanting to follow along exactly, but you know, yeah, you're adults, you can make your own decisions. So let's do something like this. This is going to feel very driving. Nice. I have this kind of thing that can be kind of a little bit like a snare drum. Yeah. Right, operator thing can maybe come in here. Yep, cool. And I'm really wanting to create a bunch of these different sounds. So where's my, what else have I got here? Oh, let's put the hi-hats in, just doing offbeats. Nice, okay. This is nice, this sound. Maybe that can come in. Yeah. And now with the rest, I'm just sort of filling in the gaps. Nice. Okay, we've got maybe one more here. Maybe one more in here. Super nice. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm also going to group all of these sort of really glitchy percussion sounds. So select them all in here. Oh, this one as well. Select them all. Command G. And I'm going to OTT these guys. So we're going to come in here, audio effects. We're going to look for, it's already open. There we go. OTT. So that's just opening on the glitchy percussion stuff. And I'm going to bring them. Super nice. This operator can maybe have a bit of saturation. So let's add a raw in here. There we go. Maybe a bit more on the mid. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Bring it down a bit. Nice. Now let's drum bus this audio effects drum bus. Drum bus. Bring some transients in. Bring the dry wet down a bit. Okay, this is sounding cool. So we've got like a bass beat happening here, and this is going to stay fairly static. Let's bring the hi-hats down a little bit, actually. There's one sound in here that's maybe a bit too much. It's this white burst sound. There we go. So now we've got this sort of lovely range of clicky sounds, some sort of super tight, very electronic sounding drums. Right, let's press stop on that. Let's bring in some organic percussion stuff. So that drum beat, that's going to stay fairly fixed. We're not going to do any more programming or sort of generative stuff on that. The only generative stuff happening at the moment, I guess, is the random panning on it. The rest of it is all just very programmed in. Right. So let's come with this Crin sample, and I'm going to load that into a simpler. So we're going to go for instruments, and we're going to go simpler. Drag that in here. Going to drag the Crin sample in here. I'm going to go to slice mode, and it's sliced it by transient, which is exactly what I want. I'm going to switch it to gate mode, and the way that we're going to program this is going to have a pattern, but this pattern is going to feel sort of a little bit unpredictable and unfolding and very unconnected from the drum groove. It's going to feel connected in terms of the tempo and the beat. Everything's going to feel locked in, but it's going to feel unconnected in terms of the bars and the pattern. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to use the rotating rhythm generator. And we can hear that triggering a bunch of steps already. And you can see it already triggering just C1 a bunch of times. Now, this rotating rhythm generator is a bit annoying in that the maximum length is 100 milliseconds. So I'm also going to bring in a note length in here. And I'm going to turn this note length up a bit more. Right. Now, we don't want it doing just this crazy 16th note, so we're going to turn the Euclidean pattern on. And let's bring it down to 16 steps, so that's going to be 16 16th notes. So this one is going to be exactly 1 bar long. And let's make the fills something like 5. Super nice. Right. Now, when I turn on one of these other notes here on the rotating rhythm generator, it's obviously going to trigger a different sample in this Crin. So I'm going to just use, maybe let's try F1. And we can see it triggering this other sample up here. Again, let's turn this to Euclidean, and let's make this something really different. So let's make this 7 and 2. So it's 7 16th notes long, and 2 out of those 7 16th notes are being triggered. How does this sound with our beat? Already this is sounding really interesting. Okay, cool. Let's solo this and let's do some processing on this. Actually, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to bring in a random in here. So what this is going to do is, of course, randomize the MIDI note, which in this case is triggering just a different slice of this sample. So I'm going to make it so it occasionally plays 1 or 2 samples, 1 or 2 slices in front, so that we get slightly different hits every now and then. And what I'm actually also going to do on this rotating rhythm generator is bring the velocity of this one down a bit, so it's functioning a bit more like ghost notes. And let's make it a little bit more velocity sensitive over here. Lovely. Okay, cool. Let's do some processing on this sound. First of all, let's bring a little bit more tonal information, a little bit more of a pitch to it. So let's do that using what are we going to use? Perhaps a corpus. Let's use a corpus on this. Maybe let's go for the pipe mode. That's a nice pitch. It's sort of in tune with the crin itself. It's giving a nice extra little sound to it. Maybe bring the decay down a little bit. Cool. Let's take off some of these sharp transient attacks. So let's use a limiter for that. Let's bring the ceiling all the way down, give it a bit more input gain. This is nice. Let's now actually maybe come back in here and turn the fade out. Yeah, super nice. Okay, cool. Let's now maybe... How is this going to sound with an OTT? Is that going to just be way over the top? Yeah, I don't know. That's way... that's way over the top. Okay, now let's drum bus this. Actually, I think that's going to bring in... Yeah, super nice. Okay. And now let's give this a bit of space. What I might do is a reverb on this. Actually, I'm going to sidechain this against the dry signal. So I'm going to group that. Going to bring a dry signal in here. Going to put a compressor after the reverb on the reverb chain. Going to select external, and we're going to select this, and we're going to select effect rack chain post effect. Yep. Nice. Okay, now let's just adjust the sound of this reverb a little bit on the input filter. That's actually quite nice. A little bit in the high filter, and let's just bring the volume of it down a bit. So without the reverb, super dry. With the reverb, really nice, actually. And let's sidechain this whole sound against the kick drum. So we're going to come in here, we're going to select external. We're going to go for 6 drum rack. We're going to choose answer phone, post effects. Yeah, so that's now nicely ducking behind the kick drum. How does it sound with the... Super nice. Okay, maybe this all needs actually a little bit of saturation, a little bit more gain. I like to use raw to add a bit more gain instead of just things like the utility plugin. I like the saturating of it and the compression of it. In this case, I think we can just go for single band. This is super nice. And so now we have ways in which we can sort of make this part more exciting as well. Like, we can make it sound busier just by adding an extra fill in on the... Maybe even 4, and it's... And we can bring it down to 1. Actually, actually what I might do is make some dummy clips in order to be able to change this. So I'm just going to come into this crind track here, going to double click, create a MIDI clip, turn loop off. We're going to go to the envelopes and we're going to turn this to 1. That's already got the rotating rhythm generator fill 3 selected. Let's rename this fill 1. Let's drag. Ooh. No, we don't want a whole extra track. That's all a bit too much. Fill 1. Let's make this 2. There we go. 2. Fill 3. And change it here. And one more. Let's do one more. Let's make it go up to 4. Ah, come on. I keep dragging it over to a new track. Fill 4. And up here. So now by triggering each of these, we can make it busy, super busy, less busy. That's super nice. That creates all these little variations for us. Okay, cool. Let's turn that off and let's do the same thing with conga. Super nice. In this case, we're going to use instruments. We're going to use simpler. Going to drag the conga into here, and again I'm going to choose slice mode, and it's even got all of the little ghost notes in there. Maybe actually I want to take these out. Really nice. I'm going to give it a bit more gain, and here I'm not going to use the rotating rhythm generator. No, I am. I'm going to use that, but I'm going to use that in conjunction with a sequencer. So I'm going to go for MIDI effects SQ sequencer first. Let's just create, get some kind of a nice sequence happening here. Why are we not hearing anything? Because it's probably way out the top. So I need to bring a pitch device in here and probably put it down 2 octaves. There we go. Okay, so now we can go like this. Okay, so now when we play this with the drums, of course, we're going to get now we're getting, a very, very sort of stock standard tribally kind of a sound. Let's give this bit more fade out on each of these samples. But instead of having this playing from the transport, I'm going to change this to MIDI, and I'm going to bring in a rotating rhythm generator in front of this. 2 of these trigger things, these both need to be set to C1, so that's 36. Otherwise, we're going to be pitching this sequence up and down, which is going to be changing the sequence that's getting played here. So I want the sequence to remain the same the whole time. Why has that stopped playing? Oh, I need to press play here. And now we can see it playing through that. Why are we not actually getting any notes triggered now? Do I need to maybe turn this off? Oh, now we can turn this off. Aha! Okay, cool. So we're going to come to this rotating rhythm generator. We're going to turn on let's turn this one off for now. Let's turn the Euclidean steps and let's make this, 11 and 3. So you can see that now the sequencer is stepping through the steps in accordance with these Euclidean steps and not just triggering a note every 16th note. So let's do that again with this one. And let's again bring this down. Let's maybe make this, let's make it 5 and 1. Super nice. So again, we can hear the sequence. It's locked in with the groove, and the pattern is the same. The order in which each of these individual slices is being triggered is the same, but the way that pattern is sitting over the top of the groove is changing every single bar. So let's come back in here and let's do some processing on this sound. So first of all, I'm gonna saturate this a bit as well. Let's bring in a raw. We can drive it quite a lot actually. Now I want to create a bit more harmonic tonal information on this as well. So I'm going to use the technique that I explored on a recent video with vocoder. So let's bring in a vocoder in here. This is going to sound noisy. Sorry. I mean, actually that's also kind of cool, but I'm going to put this on modulator. I'm going to select the bands to be something like 12 and bring the bandwidth down. Yeah, this is nice. A bit more release on all of these. Yeah, now what? without the vocoder. Super clean. I like that this adds just a little bit more tonal information. Actually, that's quite nice. Okay, cool. Let's do some processing on this. Let's let's use an OTT on this. Bring it down to about 50%, bring the output down. Cool, let's use the drum bus again. Super nice. Again, let's use a little bit of reverb. This time I'm going to use a gated reverb. So let's use hybrid reverb because it always works well with this technique. So I'm going to bring in hybrid reverb in here. Going to put gate in front of it. Going to switch this to 100% wet. And I want only the loudest sounds to come through. Nice. Okay, let's group that. Command G. Create a dry chain, right click, create chain. And again, I'm going to side chain that reverb against the dry signal. Let's come in here to the compressor. Turn the side chain on. And we want it from itself. And we want this to be chain post effects. That's really nice. That's giving us this lovely pumping effect. Let's bring the reverb down a little bit. Bring the drums back in. Super nice. I reckon we can bring this sound out even a little bit more. So let's use something like the color limiter. Maybe that should happen before the reverb. And now maybe we need to just come in here, readjust this gate a little bit. Yeah, that's nice. How does it sound with the other part? This is probably going to just sound way too busy. Actually, it sounds pretty good together when they're a little bit more, not quite so hectic, but if I make this like super hectic, yeah, a little bit too much. Actually, let's come back to this sound. Let's maybe make this a bit more stereo. So let's bring in the align delay. Put that on this crin track. Let's bring it right after the sample itself. Add a bit of... There we go. Now I reckon. Super nice. Let's bring in a compressor after here to sort of sidechain some of this against the kick drum, drum rack, answer phone. So we could obviously do the same thing with the number of steps getting filled in with this conga as we did with the crin. We could also do other stuff, I think, even super simple stuff like just the decay on the hi-hat. These sort of things, actually, let's right click, let's map that to macro 1 because that's just a really nice thing to have on a macro and to be able to control and create variations. Okay. That's kind of where I wanted to get to today, exploring a little bit on how to use these kind of percussive, tribally sounds but within more of a sort of IDM techno kind of a framework. These patterns that sort of keep evolving on top of each other. Patreon members can download this full set, including the track that I made. It will also include all of these samples, including all of the drum samples, the glitchy stuff. Thanks so much for being here. I'll see you next time.